Hello and welcome to this New Year's walk and talk. However, it is too cold to walk and talk outside. Unfortunately, well, I love the cold weather, but the camera does not like the cold weather. And if I try to take too much video with it, the battery shuts off. So we can't do that. So you'll just have to look at some pictures of stuff while I talk about some of the end of the year here, the end of 2017. Where do I start with 2017? It was a terrible year, but it was also a good year too, for me as well, because while my old town Westbury got to the point of being like Skid Row, I was lucky enough to finally move on and live somewhere safe and find a welcoming place here in Mineola, where people are open-minded and friendly enough to allow some poor soul like me to live, and I'm so grateful for that, to live somewhere safe finally. And that's the way I'll start off this video. But as I always do, it seems, but I just can't appreciate enough being able to live somewhere safe on Long Island, because if I wasn't able to live somewhere safe on Long Island, they would have had to leave Long Island, and it really would have broken my heart. I've had many friends leave because they couldn't afford to stay here, because they got priced out, like so many people have, due to the high home prices, due to the high taxes and the high cost of living, and I'm just so grateful that I was able to stay, because if I couldn't, I would have probably had to leave and probably wind up in some place like Tom's River, which, let's face it, Tom's River is a nice place, but it is kind of out there for somebody who has a disability, who can't drive, and who relies on public transportation. Tom's River doesn't have much public transportation at all compared to Long Island. Does have a lot of beautiful Pine Barrens, but it's out there, and there's a reason why it's cheap compared to everywhere else, and that's because it's far away, and there's not much going on there except for the Pine Barrens. Anyway, we'll get on to what's happened in 2017 here, and I want to first start off with losing a local radio station here on Long Island, a radio station that was in our Pine Barrens. I think, it was mostly a Suffolk County radio station. WLIX was started quite a few years ago by a man named Scotty Hart, and in the past, I would say 5, 6, 7, 8 years, he's run a nice, soft, adult contemporary music station, where you hear songs that you wouldn't hear anywhere else, And today he signed off his radio station because, he wants to start a new chapter in his life. He suffered a great loss this year, and a personal loss. I'm not going to get into the details. But he basically could not run the radio station anymore, but he did a great job, and I just want to thank him for his years of service to the Suffolk County community and the Pine Barrens, providing great music, local radio, and just the best station you could ever imagine, and I really appreciate it all these years, and I wish him the best in his new chapter in life, and hopefully he stays on Long Island. We've lost so many great things here on Long Island, and I don't want to see him wind up leaving as well. This is our home, and we're not going anywhere. I know that. This is my home. That's why I fought so hard to stay here. Anyway, so getting on to some other thoughts here. We talk about the Pine Barrens. We talk about the defeat of the Pine Barrens expansion bill by Governor Andrew Cuomo, because apparently 99.9% of the state legislature approving a bill is not good enough for Governor Cuomo. He cared more about the interests of this Rosengarten guy who owns the property in Middle Island. No, not Middle Island. It's actually in Mastic, and he wants to build this solar farm and knock down the woods and all that other stuff. So we'll see what other ways we can stop him at. Also in 2017, we had some victories, though. The Southampton Town Board voted against the planned development district for the Hills at Southampton, or Hills at Quogue project, which would have put in a luxury golf course and luxury homes in an area in the middle of the Pine Barrens in Quogue. The Southampton Town Board finally did stop this project, but it's not. The developer is going to now try to build an as-of-right project, and that needs to be stopped too. I do not think there should be any development on that site whatsoever. That is for sure. In 2017, we've continued to see the decline of Nice Bus, more breakdowns than ever, more buses not showing up, and service cuts that have devastated a good portion of the ridership. And I think some of the most devastating service cuts were the elimination of the N27 on the weekends, a busy route on the weekends that carried a good amount of people between Hempstead, Roosevelt Field, and Glen Cove. Now they have no bus service at all on Sundays in Glen Cove. Glen Cove is not a rich area. There are a lot of people who depended on the bus there that have been now left stranded by Nice. I think that was one of the most devastating cuts that Nice made. Also, the N72 no longer running to Babylon and stopping at Route 110. That was a route that carried a lot of people too. That Nice bus did wind up cutting. And I'm trying to think of some of the other eliminations that they did. The N36, the what are the routes they get rid of? Oh, yeah, and outside of rush hours also, the N19 and the N79 do not run outside of rush hours. And those buses did wind up carrying people outside of rush hours, too. So a lot of devastating service cuts, and this was all due to a combination of Nice Bus making the wrong decisions, Ed Mangano cutting the funding for Nice Bus, the county not providing enough funding, and the state not providing enough funding as well. And in Suffolk County, we lost some service too, of course. That was last year. So, yeah, it's been an up and down year. We've had President Donald Trump basically go back on everything he promised. He said he was going to do, and that's part of the reason why I had to fight so hard to leave Westbury, because the problem with the illegal immigrants was getting out of control in Westbury. And Donald Trump wasn't doing anything about it, even though he said he was going to remove these criminals from our society. He never actually did remove the criminals. They're still here, and there are more of them than ever. The man lied about that, and so many other things. And I think 2017 is the year that people got fed up with Donald Trump, and that's why the Democrats swept so many areas in this country, because people were fed up with Donald Trump's lies about doing what he said he was going to do. The only things Donald Trump has done is to benefit the richest people in this country while hurting everybody else. He has gone back. He has made the swamp bigger than ever. He never drained it. He just made it bigger than ever, putting in more people that are connected to Wall Street, the big banks, and the richest people in this country. And he has created more division and more hate through this year, spewing his big mouth and not really following through with any of his promises at all whatsoever. Yeah, he did get this tax bill passed, but it's a tax bill that benefits the richest people in this country. And a lot of things about this tax bill are unfair. He has shown himself to be one of the worst presidents this country has ever had. I look forward to his impeachment, because I think the sooner this man is removed from office, the better off this country will wind up being. Now, does that mean I supported Hillary? No, I can't stand Hillary. But here's the thing. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are probably sitting in a fancy restaurant right now laughing at all of us. All right? They're both connected to Wall Street, the big banks, and the richest people in this country. They don't give a crap about us. And so we have to move on, and we have to remove this man from office and actually put somebody in who is going to stand for the interests of, I don't know who that person is going to be, but we need to put somebody in here who's actually going to stand for the interests of this country. I am a conservative person, but Donald Trump has been far from the conservative man he promised he was going to be when he was going to be elected to president. He's turned out to be a just a typical elitist kind of person, and his family too, very elitist. And so, yeah, he's been a big disappointment for 2017 as well. The Long Island Railroad in 2017 has continued to fall apart under Patrick Nowakowski. There have been more mainline messes. The Babylon branch continues to get its preferential treatment on a lot of things. And as we go into 2018, we're going to see service changes on a lot. Well, not as big as the Summer of Hell. That was the other thing that happened in 2017. The Summer of Hell, which really didn't turn out to be much of a Summer of Hell at all. In fact, I think that the Summer of Hell actually wound up more to be like a Summer of Heaven, because the railroad ran more smoothly than normal, because a lot of those three-stop Babylon flyers were canceled and combined. And that's what should happen on a permanent basis, because without all those extra trains going to Babylon, it's less congestion on the railroad, meaning a more reliable railroad. We don't need to be running all these extra trains so a bunch of politically connected people who work on Wall Street in the big banks and finance firms can get to have an empty seat next to them. And so I'm going to continue to speak up about that. So how do we go into 2018 here? Well, 2017, I think 2018 will wind up being much better than 2017. In 2018, we see Ed Mangano finally out of office in Nassau County. The man has done so much damage, and his trial will start in the spring, in March, and I really hope that he is convicted and spends a long time in jail where he belongs. He is a crook, he is a fraud, he is the worst thing to ever happen to Nassau County, and I think Ed Mangano needs to spend the rest of his life in jail, and I hope that when his trial is in process, it will come out that Andrew Cuomo is very much involved in a lot of shady doings too, and that those next indictments should be for Governor Andrew Cuomo, who has shown himself to be not a governor of the people, but a governor for Wall Street, a governor for corruption, and a governor against the people in so many ways, and he has shown himself to be nothing like his father, Mario Cuomo, who actually did wind up caring a lot about people. Andrew Cuomo, he's just another Wall Street Democrat, just like Chuck Schumer. It's all about Wall Street, and we got to, get Wall Street out of our government. Wall Street has no place running our government. Wall Street has no place influencing our public transportation or our environmental policy or any of that. All right, they have no business doing that. All right. And also in 2017, on another note, YouTube has started really cracking down on a lot of, this does not affect me because I don't monetize my videos, but a lot of people who have monetized their videos, a lot of people who I do watch have seen their videos get demonetized due to YouTube making up rules, trying to, basically YouTube has forgotten about the creators, and they're just like another typical corporation, stepping on the little guy. It's us creators, even though I don't actually monetize my videos, but other people do, and they work and they're not getting paid for it. So YouTube is using our product to make profit on their own, and that's just wrong. But that's typical corporate culture, which is very wrong for this corporate culture is very wrong for this country. It's always about greed and about just stepping on the little guy to get ahead, and that's the kind of mentality you have in New York in particular, and particularly on on that Babylon branch. Those are the kind of people that are believe in that kind of policy. So what can we look forward to in 2018? Well, as I said before, I'm slowing down what I do here on YouTube. Now, does that mean I'm stopping it completely? But I'm slowing it down. All right, because it's just too much stress in my life, and now that I've been able to finally live somewhere safe, I want to focus on just doing the things that I like to do, all right, and sharing the Pine Barrens with you, more of the Pine Barrens with you, talking more about the Pine Barrens preservation and how important it is that we protect the Long Island Pine Barrens from development. And we have several development projects that we still have to worry about here. We still have to worry about what I just spoke about before with Rosengarten developing this solar farm in Mastic, in the woods there by between Weeks Avenue and Sunrise Highway, and knocking down trees to build solar, which is completely contrary to. That's like trying to cut down the forest to save it. It doesn't work that way. The only time that you need to remove trees to save the forest is when you have a thing like southern pine beetle, which has decimated our forests the past couple of years. All right. The other development project we need to worry about is the Islip Pines. I haven't heard too much about that. That's at the corner of Route 454 and Route 27 there in, I guess that would be considered Sayville, or I think it's considered Holbrook. We have to worry about that because that is something that, again, those are Pine Barrens, and that's near the Sans Souci watershed. And that is really something that we need to be concerned about. That's detrimental. We have enough development in the area as it is. We shouldn't be cutting down any more trees. Then, of course, there's EPCAL in Calverton. That was recently proposed, and Riverhead has put out a notice of sale to Luminati Aerospace. Now, I think that that's the best use for the property, is to keep it in the aerospace technology industry, just like the Grumman that was there before. But I am worried about possible loss of Pine Barrens in that area. I do not think that any area, now the DEC has already said that a lot of it is not developable, but I think that there should not be one tree touched on that property, all right, period. Not one tree, all right? There's plenty of open space on that property there. They don't need to be knocking down any trees, all right? That's the other development project we need to watch out for, right? And then we have the Heartland Town Square at the Pilgrim site, and they want to knock down some trees for that, and it's a beautiful, open, peaceful site in an area that is starting to get very congested, and I think it needs to stay. I think it should become a state park. I do not think that we should be building another development that's going to mostly gear to upper class people in this area. There are plenty of areas on Long Island that are struggling, that need redevelopment. Places like Westbury, places like this Pilgrim. Just go on the other side on the Sagatoes there. You have Brentwood, which is full of illegals, full of crime, full of problems. Why don't you redevelop that area instead of knocking down trees and building on open space? There's no reason to be doing that when we have so many disturbed, so many rundown areas on Long Island that need redevelopment. And Brentwood, around the train station, Central Islip, those kind of areas really do need the redevelopment. And the train station is right there. Unlike Pilgrim, which is not really that close to the train station at all. People are going to have to get in their cars and drive, creating more traffic jams, which is not going to be good for the environment at all whatsoever. The other developments that we have to worry about, because there's several, there are several developments, more developments that we have to worry about. The other development that we have to worry about is this development that they want to put in, trying to think where it is. Oh, yeah. They want to put a development in Sayville at the former, there's a country club there, Island Hills Country Club, and they want to, now, yeah, it was a country club, it was a golf course, but it's still open space. There's still a lot of beautiful trees on the property, and what they want to do is knock all that down and build a luxury apartment complex or a luxury condo complex. And there is a lot of opposition to it in the community, but the opposition is because it's not being single-family homes, and they just want single-family homes. And what they should really say is that we don't want any more trees knocked down. That's what they should be saying. We got to stop destroying the forests. Trees take in carbon dioxide and give us oxygen, all right? And they're part of Long Island. They're part of what Long Island is. And I don't think we should be cutting down any more trees. The only time a tree should be removed is when it's when it is a danger to a property, whether that be a house or a power line, or that the tree is going to fall, or the tree is infested with southern pine beetles, that's the only time the tree should be removed. And so I think we need to, in 2018, we need to actually work on getting a moratorium on Long Island against tree removal. You will not be allowed to remove a tree unless it poses a threat. Otherwise, it will be illegal. And if you remove a tree without consent from the people, from the government, then you should face a $5,000 fine. All right, I know it's very strict, but that's what I think. Now, also in 2018, we have the Suffolk County bag tax. Now, this is just a bunch of BS, because what Suffolk County is doing, starting in just a little over 12 hours from now, if you're going to the supermarket and you want to get a plastic bag, you're going to be charged 5 cents for each plastic bag you use, and it doesn't matter if it's plastic or paper. They will charge you for paper too. The excuse was, well, this will force people to use reusable bags and help the environment. I'm all for helping the environment, but this bill is not going to do that. This is just another way of the government nickel and diming people once again, so only rich people can live here, because rich people who have no problem paying the 5 cents per bag. It's the people who are struggling who are going to have problems with it. All right. And the worst part of this bill is that the 5 cents doesn't even go to preserving the environment. It goes into the store's pockets. So this gives the stores incentives to charge for it, and they're going to be making money hand over fist. But I think it's going to come to bite them. I really do. I think that what's going to happen is that the stores are going to wind up, especially in the Western Suffolk, people are going to say, screw it, we're not paying this bag tax. We're going to go over the border in Nassau and shop. And I really do think that within 2018, I think that this, just very much like the school speed zone cameras, which was another cash grab that Nassau County tried to do, I think that this bag tax will wind up going into the garbage bin where it belongs. All right, I'm all for protecting the environment, but if you really wanted to protect the environment, these plastic bags, I see them, they are litter, they're unsightly, and plastic does not degrade. It is bad for the environment, but here's the thing, if you really, really, really wanted to stop people using those plastic bags, you just ban them and force the stores to use paper. But that's not what you're doing. So to me, that's why it's a cash grab. So I want to spend more time on the Pine Barrens here in this channel. Like I said, slowing things down, but that doesn't mean things are stopping completely. I'll continue to talk about the situation with Nice Bus. I'll continue to talk about the situation with the Long Island Railroad, because that's public transportation, and that's also something we cover here as well. I think that it's very important, especially when the mainstream media seems to especially ignore the Nice Bus situation. And I'm hoping with incoming County Executive Laura Curran that she will do the right thing and work with MTA to get MTA back in charge of Nassau County's buses. Because it's not only about money. Nice has shown to be making poor decisions when it comes to the money they do have. And they're not maintaining the buses. They violate their contract every day by not maintaining the buses properly and having all these breakdowns. We never had so many breakdowns when MTA was here. MTA was far more reliable. And there is a strong ray of hope, because Laura Curran has appointed Helena Williams, that's right, the former Long Island Railroad chief, to deputy county executive. She has MTA connections. And if anyone can get MTA back, she can get MTA back. And we need to get MTA back in charge of our buses. As far as what goes on at the Long Island Railroad level, I think the only way the Long Island Railroad is going to improve is to see somebody else take the helm at Long Island Railroad. I think Patrick Nowakowski has been a terrible Long Island Railroad president, but unfortunately he's politically connected to Cuomo and that whole thing. But like I said earlier, I'm really hopeful that when Ed Mangano's trial starts, it will come out that Andrew Cuomo was involved in corruption too. And he is also up for re-election in 2018. So I'm hoping that people of New York see through Andrew Cuomo's antics and tell him, we don't want you around for 4 more years. All right? It's time for a change, and it's time for somebody else to run this state and be more fair in the way they run it. Lastly, I'll just say this because the video is now almost 25 minutes long. Again, sorry I couldn't do the walk and talk, but it is, like I said, I love the cold, but the camera does not like the cold, so we have to do it like this. But the cold weather is great, and I'm glad to see that we're finally getting a nice cold weather pattern with temperatures in the teens almost every day. We're not even hitting 20. We're well below freezing, and it's going to last for another 7 to 10 days. And it's very important because this will help kill the southern pine beetle and put a stop to the southern pine beetle and its destruction of our pine barrens. It will also, bring the pine barrens back into, I think, a better equilibrium. These extremes are very important for the pine barrens, and without the southern pine beetles there, it will give the pine barrens a chance to recover. But we must protect the pine barrens. I think that is the most important thing, because while we've seen bus service cut, we've seen train service messed up, that can always be fixed. But when we remove the woods, when we cut down the forests, that cannot come back so quickly. The damage from that is much more permanent. And I think what we need to take away from this is that we need to be looking out for one another. We've got to stop worrying about Wall Street things, because Wall Street just doesn't care about us. All they care about is money and making more money, and they don't care about the planet. All right, we need to look out for our country. We need to put ourselves first. We need to put our forests first. We need to protect our environment from the destruction that is occurring, not just on Long Island, but all across the country. We need to move on to renewable sources of energy. We need to stop polluting the air so much with all these vehicles. We've got to start moving over to electric vehicles, all right? And we need to generate that electricity from clean sources: solar, wind, geothermal, and yes, even nuclear, all right? But we got to move away from the fossil fuels. They're terrible for the environment. We've got to stop, even though it's cold and our dumb president made a stupid tweet about it, the global temperature continues to climb and we continue to do damage to our environment. That cannot be fixed so quickly, all right? So we need to respect our forests. We also need to respect our country. We need to enforce the rule of law in this country, something our president promised but has not accomplished. We need to get criminals off the streets. We need to build more jails to put them in. We need to deport the illegals, get them out, so citizens in every town in this country can feel safe. It doesn't matter whether they're living on Long Island or Utah or Kansas or Florida or California or Westbury, Hempstead, or Wantor, whatever. They need to feel safe. Everybody deserves to be safe and have access to public transportation and access to everything that everyone else has. Because remember, we should all be treated equally. We should always be judged not by what kind of clothes, not by how much money we make, what car we drive, what kind of clothes we wear. We should be judged by the content of our character, not by how much we have. And that, I think I will leave it at that. I wish you all a happy and healthy new year, and may 2018 be a better new year for all of us. Take care.